You're live.
It's 7:30, and this is a regular meeting of the Bangor City Council. I am the city solicitor, David Sepchek, and the chair, Pelletier, and some other council members are out of town and on city business. So at this time, I would call for a motion to select a chair pro tem.
I move to select Councillor Yakubaga to act as Chair Pro Tem during the temporary absence of Council Chair Pelletier to exercise all powers of the Council Chair during this meeting.
Second.
With no objections, Councilor Yakubaga is the chair pro tem.
Thank you, David. Good evening. Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled City Council meeting for tonight, March 11th, 2024. It's 7:30, and per our tradition, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm gonna ask Evan Thomas, Airport Assistant Director, to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now we get to the public comment section of tonight's meeting. The public has the choice to participate in meetings in person here at the City Hall, located at 262 Harlow Street, or remotely through Zoom. Meetings are available to view through YouTube website and the government channel after the fact. Public comment, whether in person or through Zoom, requires a person to state their name and town of residence, and any inappropriate or offensive comments or remarks may be removed or interrupted. And the council chair will have discretion over the time allowed for comments, and we typically allow 3 minutes for each person. On Zoom, the public may be recognized to speak by the hand wave function or on a phone by pressing 9. So if anyone here wants to speak, please come forward.
Hi, my name is, you guys hear me okay? My name is Kate Dickerson. I live in Bangor and I'm the executive director of the Maine Discovery Museum. And if I'm here, it must be March, so I'm here to tell you guys, remind you, this year is our 9th Maine Science Festival. Science Festival is the largest program of the Maine Discovery Museum. We hold 70 events and activities over 5 days. We start March 20th, we go through the 24th. I'm gonna highlight just a few things for you. We kick it off with a trivia night, and we're partnering up with Maine Public for that one. So I'm really excited about that. We have a bespoke trivia being written for us. And if he gets the deadline right, I'll have it before the festival. My son's writing it, so I can get it all right. There's 2 other things I'd really like to highlight about the festival itself. Number 1, we do a field trip day for 7th and 8th graders from all over the state. That sold out. We don't actually charge for it, but within 10 hours of opening up, we had to start a waiting list for next year. And then the other thing we have is this year with our headliner, we've decided to make everything all Maine all the time. And we've moved our most popular event, well, I think it's the most popular event. I don't actually know if everyone would agree with me on that, but it's called 5 Minute Genius, and that is going to be Saturday night at Penobscot Theater's Bangor Opera House. So just a few other things I want to make sure that you know, but more importantly, I think the public. The whole festival is available at no charge. We've actually had a really hard time with sponsorships this year, so this is not an easy lift for us to do, but it's part of our mission to make sure that we keep science and creativity and curiosity accessible. That goes along with a lot of the other work that we do, for which we also have to raise almost all of our funds for. We get no government support of any kind in any budget. Anything that we bring in that's government money is through a grant. Anything that we bring in is sponsorship and fundraising and admissions. I had the great good fortune of going on a field trip last spring and met with colleagues in Portland, and they said that their goal is to have 20% of their programs available at free or no charge, so that people have accessibility. Since 2014, 94% of our programming has been available at free or no charge, and the Science Festival is a critical piece of that. So I think personally, I would welcome you all to come. I would actually invite all of you to come see the Field Trip Day. It's closed to the public, but I'd really like you to see what a little mini festival looks like for kids. I'm gonna put the same offer out to the school committee. But I really would encourage you, if you get a chance, if you think you don't like science, I will bet any amount of ice cream or pints of root beer or other pints that we can find an event that you will like. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you'll join us.
Awesome, thank you. Please, people here, take notes, even on Zoom. There are fun activities coming up. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Michael Norton. I'm at 83 Elm Street, Bangor, Maine. We've had all throughout our history, collective as it is, problems from time to time with education in the schools. I don't think anyone can argue against that. I just wanted to state that I am not one of those problems at the present time that we're all living in. And I'd like to just welcome council members and anyone here too, to just call out and respond to me as I speak tonight, if you feel like it, because I am a fan of the House of Commons, and they like to talk over each other. I'm also a fan of the USA, so not political, this speech is supposed to be tonight, but it's about science, and I've been looking for employment to teach at various universities all over the US and in the UK as well. And there was a recent application that I applied to that's still pending, but it's to teach a course of chemistry at a college. And I got into the requirements in that particular region with the human resources there, learning about it. And one requirement is 18 hours of a master level chemistry degree, which I do not have. So my question is for anyone, does magnetism have to be a standard burrow or embedment in the chemistry curriculum or within the physics curriculum? I don't think that it does. I think it has a call for a standard of its own, just as biology does or math requirements do in schools. And I think the standards that require human resources to jump through bells and whistles and hoops, proverbially speaking, and delaying real employment in real places of need, like science and math departments of our schools and our neighborhoods, I think a new call for standards to give magnetism a unique class itself would be extraordinary. And does anyone know why magnetism is required by accreditation organizations to be held by chemistry masters and up, or physics masters and up? All right, so we're all on board with that, I guess. Silence is agreement. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you. Who else?
Good evening. My name is Christy Babin and I live on Mildred Avenue in Bangor. And my understanding is you're hearing about zoning for 108 Alden Road this evening. Me and my neighbors and I.
Yeah, so since this is on the agenda, so
Yes.
we keep those comments just for items that are not on the agenda? No, that's
Okay.
fine, that's fine.
Okay.
Like, yeah, so please just wait with us
Wait
until
until
we
it
get
comes.
to that item, yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
I brought handouts.
I see a young guest in the audience there.
Oh, yes, my son, he likes to check out the democratic process from time to time.
Right there with you.
Okay, well, good evening, my name is Michael Beck, and I live at 216 3rd Street here in Bangor. And I'm here tonight to talk about staff shortages and the need to hire. Something we hear a lot in the informal council meetings, that we don't have enough staff for this issue or that issue. that's gonna be late, we don't have enough people, those kind of things, that comes up a lot. And that's a real thing, I'm not complaining, it's the truth, it's a real thing. This first document, I put it on here because this is a good way to illustrate just how long these staff shortages have gone on. We get a letter, a management letter every year from Runyon, Kirsty, and Olette. These are things that they say, hey, we have comments on, may not be reportable to the state or the federal. And mostly it has to do with things like segregation of duties, which is a best practice, but it's boring sounding. But they, year after year, they ding us for it. And they say, hey, this is the year you're gonna fix it. Word for word, they put it in there. It's been going on for 26 years. And since 2013, we say the exact same thing as well back to them. Total segregation of duties is very difficult to achieve within our current operating environment. Translation, we don't have enough people to do this. Again, that's fair. If we don't have the people to do it, we can't. I'm here to ask the council to say, hey, is this the year we're finally going to address it? Budget season's here, and if it's a money issue that we're not paying people enough, let's explore that. The second document is actually from last year's budget workbook. These are the 10 departments that all cited staffing issues as a challenge for this coming year. And of those 10, only 3 cited hiring or staffing as a priority. So I'm asking that we make it more of a priority. We find whether we gotta hire a consultant to find out if it's money, if it's, issues with, work environment, anything. I don't know why we're not able to hire. We need to find out why and get that corrected. So that's what I'm here to ask tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Justin Cartier. I'm a resident of Essex Street in Bangor, Holiday Park. I'm here to talk about safety in Bangor tonight. We heard from many of the women in the program over at the University of Maine at Augusta campus who struggle with their own personal safety every day as they go back and forth to class. I want to reiterate that again today and make sure that we're keeping that as a priority for not just them, but all the people of Bangor. I put about 30 miles a week on my legs as I travel around the east side of Bangor and some to the west side as well. The trash, the needles, the refuse that is everywhere throughout our city, it's really gotten awful. I pick up at least a shopping cart's worth of trash every single day. And I take that and find a dumpster, or I return the shopping cart to where it came from, full of the trash, and let them deal with it. I really hope that the city decides to do something to make change around this. Like the prior resident was talking about staffing issues. We do live in a capitalist society, and as staffing becomes an issue, you have to pay people more to get them to come. We heard in a few meetings ago that we're paying $119,000 a year to a new health czar, I think it was her title. Perhaps that money would be better spent splitting that up into smaller paying jobs so that we can get some of these things to get our city back, to take control of our city, allow the great men and women on our police force to get out there and police the streets and take care of some of these issues that are out there and keep our students safe. Because if we lose our higher learning institutions and we lose our residents who move further and further away from the cities, what is going to be left of this beautiful city? I've been here most of my life. 1984, we moved to this fair city. And it can be a beautiful place again. We, the people, are going to have to take it back. We're going to have to all get together. And I hope that this city council can find some ways to pull us together to do that. There's a lot of people like myself that would be happy to volunteer and to help offset some of that so that we don't have to keep increasing our taxes to take care of some of these issues. And I hope you can find some ways to do that. Find some community programs. If you need anyone to head something up, I am happy to volunteer my time to help this fair city. And I hope that we can do some more for it. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for addressing these issues.
Thank you. Just a note about the women who are struggling at University of Maine at Augusta Bangor campus. I want to assure you that the City Council has been in connection with the leadership there and a lot of conversations. while maintaining their safety and their perception of safety, of course, and dignity for those who are at the encampment. So there are conversations going. And regarding volunteering, there are many groups in the downtown area and the surrounding areas around downtown that have cleanup efforts. So if you're interested, you can definitely look for one of those and sign up, and you will find it very rewarding. I was part of that at one point.
I do appreciate you addressing those issues. Supporting the encampments may not be exactly the right idea. You know, I told you a few meetings ago that my path did lead me through that homeless shelter on Main Street. And the majority of the people in 2015, when I spent 6 weeks in that homeless shelter, were there by choice, as a financial choice. And the majority of the people in that homeless encampment are there as a choice because they can do drugs there and they're not permitted to do drugs in the other homes like the Hope House or the shelter. Just food for thought on that subject.
We can agree to disagree. I think, yeah, the city has been doing a lot of work around, you know, the encampments and affordable housing, changing zones. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
I do have one thing I want to say. In addition to doing a service to the community, this Saturday at I believe it's 8:30, Friends of Lower Kenduskeag Extreme are going to do our normal monthly cleanup. So feel free to stop by right behind the Penquist building here in this room, and we'll be meeting there early in the morning. Happy to have you there. It's a lot of fun, actually.
As soon as I leave the hot stove meeting for the Bangor Chamber of Commerce from 8 to 10, I'll be happy to go straight to there.
Perfect.
Any comments before we move to those on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. So who do we have on Zoom?
Jocelyn St. Amand.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes, so my name is Jocelyn Saint Amand, and I live at 2 Hammond Street. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to, to speak that I have to speak to you today. I would have liked to be there in person, so I do appreciate the fact that I can join via Zoom. And the topic that I wanted to bring up this evening was the high cost of rent in downtown Bangor. Yeah, I choose to move here from Michigan back in December to be closer to my elderly parents that are in Canada, as I need to be stateside for my remote job. And I always loved Bangor from afar, and I was very, very excited to move here. Upon moving here, like in preparation for today's meeting, I read an article on why apartments are so expensive in Maine, and it is due to economic growth, which is a good thing, and social factors that play a significant role in real estate pricing. As Maine's economy thrives, more people are relocating or investing in properties, driving demand and contributing to the rising prices. Now, in my observation, and what I didn't know before I moved here in December, is that rent is increasingly higher downtown Bangor due to the short-term rentals for traveling doctors and nurses. And they don't consist of people planting roots here or relocating to settle down in this area. Their contribution of their stays, I'm sure, is helping the service industry, like the local restaurants, but otherwise, it's basically a revolving door. And then again, doing more research in an article, I found that there's nothing that landlords like more than quality tenants, of course, but the medical staffing industry is like a machine that keeps pumping them out, right? It's a constant need. So I'm asking what the plan is for apartments getting renovated are they made, all being renovated for medical staffing? Otherwise, fast forward another year, no one else but medical staffing will be able to afford them. Like, I make a decent salary, but it's a lot of money to pay for a 1-bedroom apartment in the city of Bangor, Maine. So I would hope that the city council and the current full-time residents of downtown Bangor would have a say in how much rent can these landlords charge, and we would love to have a voice. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tamara Benson.
Hello, my name's Tamara Benson, and I live in Orono, Maine, but I work in Bangor. I have been here I was here at the last Bangor City Council meeting, to express my support for a ceasefire resolution on behalf of the city of Bangor. I am not sure what has been discussed or decided since then, if anything. But I would like to reiterate that support. And I also would like to express that I hope that any decisions that are being made around safety are keeping the humanity of the unhoused neighbors in our city in mind. And I thank you, Dina, for mentioning that in response to a previous comment. They are people, and so are the students, and the students absolutely, their safety needs to be taken into consideration. And I hope that the city of Bangor is, working to address that. And I appreciate that you're working with the university to make sure that students feel safe. I also just, I guess this doesn't really need to be said at all, but I appreciate that the city council is working to keep the humanity of unhoused neighbors in mind as well throughout that process. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. So we can move now to the other section of our agenda tonight, which is consent agenda.
Minutes of Bangor City Council regular meeting of February 26, 2024. Finance Committee meetings of February 21st, 2024 and March 4th, 2024. Infrastructure Committee meeting of February 21st, 2024 and Government Operations Committee meeting of March 4th, 2024. Liquor license renewals. Application for liquor license renewal. Malt Wine Spirits of Smith Toll Inc. doing business as 11 Central Street. 24-092 order authorizing city manager to execute Maine DOT modification 2 to a locally administered project agreement for WIN number 023114.00 Penobscot Bridge Corridor Traffic Signal Improvements, Bangor. 24-093 order authorizing city manager to execute Maine DOT modification 3 to a locally administered project agreement for WIN number 023573.00 State Street and Forest Avenue intersection improvements. 24-094 order authorizing city manager to execute Maine DOT modification 1 to a locally administered project agreement for WIN number 026354.00 Kenduskeag Avenue and Griffin Road intersection improvements. 24-095 order authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Maine Department of Transportation Overweight Construction Vehicles MDOT projects 2610100, 2610300, 2648200, US Route 1A and Washington, Bangor Hampden Overlay, Mill and Fill. 24-096 order authorize contract award to Copious Specialty Contractors, Inc., Pickering Square Parking Garage, Phase 9, repairs. 24-097 order authorizing the execution of Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with Tandem Mobility LLC, Tandem, for Tandem to conduct a campaign for a bike share program in the city of Bangor.
Move passage of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. The consent agenda, with no doubt, has passage. And now we move to referrals to committee and first reading.
24-098 ordinance amending Chapter 223 Property Maintenance, Section 223-12, to clarify that the Director of Community and Economic Development has authority to sign administrative consent agreements on behalf of the city. First reading. 24-099 ordinance amending Chapter 165 Land Development Code to reduce off-street parking minimums for residential dwellings and to allow the planning board to authorize reductions in parking minimums for uses requiring a land development permit. First reading and referral to planning board meeting on March 19th, 2024. 24-100 ordinance amending the code of the city of Bangor by clarifying the definitions of hosted and non-hosted short-term rentals. First reading and referral to planning board meeting on March 19th, 2024.
Move these items be referred.
Second.
So we have a motion and we have a second. Any questions or comments? So I think items are referred. And now we move to unfinished business.
24-069, ordinance amending Chapter 165, Land Development Code District Map to rezone the property located at 108 Audlin Road from Urban Residence 1 District, URD 1, Neighborhood Service District, NSD, and Urban Service District, USD, to Urban Service District, USD. Councilor Schaefer.
Thank you. I think this is what you're going to want to speak on, but let me read the summary and then you can get to the podium. This ordinance amendment would amend the Land Development Code District Map to rezone the property at map lot 002009, located at 108 Audlin Road from a combination of Urban Residence 1 District, URD 1, Neighborhood Service District, NSD, and Urban Service District, USD, to only Urban Service District, USD. The total area requested to be changed is approximately 6.27 acres. The applicant and owner of record is Bangor Lodge number 244, BPO Elks, also known as Bangor Elks Lodge. The area around the property consists primarily of commercial and residential uses. The zoning in the area is primarily USD to the west and north and URD 1 to the east. This area is within the growth boundary shown in the 2022 comprehensive plan, and the future land use map on the plan shows this property in the airport commercial area, which consists of commercial and industrial areas in proximity to Bangor's airport that support, complement, or benefit from the airport's proximity. This item was reviewed and recommended not to pass by a vote of 2 in favor of passage and 5 against at the planning board meeting on March 5th, 2024. And before you speak, I'd ask Anya to speak about why the planning board rejected it. And then with this vote, we would have to vote no to support the planning board's decision.
Thank you. So, Anya Collette, Planning Officer. The primary reasons and themes for most of the planning board's decision was that they were concerned about changes of use if the whole property were rezoned to USD, uses that could come in and would be closer to some of the residences. So they felt there should be a wider buffer between the Elks Lodge use and the residences there. They also were worried about noise, and so felt like there should be restrictions on hours of operation. So the majority of the planning board members did vote on not to pass, but they requested the applicant come back for a contract zone change to add some of those stipulations. One planning board member did feel the zoning ought to stay the same, and then 2 did vote that it ought to pass, but they felt that these things could be worked out through the site plan process. So,
Thank you for that context.
Okay, yeah, please, yes.
I'm Christy Babin, and I do live on Mildred Avenue. I have a home that abuts up to the property line of the Elks Club. I have quite a bit of land there, and I'm neighborly. I knew when I purchased my home less than a year ago that I was around commercial property, and I have had no issues with the law firm on one side, the bank on one side, SK Tours diagonal from my property. I can't say the same for the Elks Club because this has been ongoing for me since September, where they wanted a portion of my property or they wanted to build a parking lot right in my backyard. I'm here tonight. I know that you have a job to do, but I really want to protect my backyard where I can continue to play with my granddaughter in my backyard, continue to have a little bit of privacy from the Elks Club. I'm neighborly. I don't mind the bands on Friday and Saturday nights. I don't mind the wedding parties coming over and taking photos on my yard, but I do want the buffer, and I want that to remain. And I think the planning committee, because the neighborhood was here loud and strong for 2 planning committee meetings. There were 8 of us and then 6 of us at the last one, 2 of us here this evening, trying to protect that neighborhood. It's a small little neighborhood in the city of Bangor with lots of community around it. And so I just urge you to take that into consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Any more comments on this? So what is the process here?
I need to make a motion.
Just make a motion, okay. So can we have a motion? Yes.
Can I
please,
just,
David.
I just wanted to suggest that the motion be made in the affirmative so that if it's a no vote, you are voting the way that the planning board has recommended.
Okay.
A yes vote would be going contrary to what the planning board recommended,
Did I not move it?
if it's made in the affirmative.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Any more discussions or questions? Roll
Yeah,
call vote,
yeah.
please.
Counselor Dean?
No.
Counselor Fournier?
No.
Counselor Leonard?
No.
Counselor Schaefer?
No.
Counselor Yakabaga?
No?
0 yes, 5 no.
So, I don't see item has passage. Okay, the next one?
24-089 ordinance amending the code of the city of Bangor by creating regulations and allowances for co-living dormitories. Counselor Dean.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of City Ordinance 24-089.
Second?
This ordinance amendment would update the city's code of ordinances to define the use of co-living dormitories and allow this use in the MNSD, NSD, DDD, WDD, HDR, S&PS, and GCNS zones. This use is a flexible form of housing that falls under the single-room occupancy housing type, where bedrooms are considered individual living quarters and there are typically shared kitchen facilities. This housing type is differentiated from boarding homes in that it would be larger in size, 8 or more rooms, and there would be no minimum stay length for a portion of the building. Boarding homes require stays of at least 30 days. This creates allowances for more transient workers or people who are transitioning from one residence to another, as well as more permanent residents. An on-site manager would be required for this use, as well as proximity to transit and either business and short-term rental licensing. A need has been expressed in the city for this type of living arrangements, since it can provide a much more affordable type of workforce housing. The 2022 Comprehensive Plan suggests the city to revise zoning regulations to remove barriers to development for a variety of housing types, including single-room occupancy housing, tiny homes, and transitional housing.
Thank you. So we have a motion and we have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Dean?
Yes.
Counselor Fournier?
Yes.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Schaefer?
Yes.
Counselor Yakabaga?
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no.
So this ordinance 24-089 has passage.
24-090 ordinance amending chapter 165 land development code to change the square footage requirement of warehousing, wholesaling uses in the general commercial and service district, GC&S. Counselor Fournier.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This ordinance will amend the land development code to change the square footage requirement for that warehousing and wholesaling of goods and materials, conditional use in the GC&S to match the requirement for the same use in the shopping and personal service district. The shopping and personal service district and the general commercial and service district zones are somewhat similar commercial zones, except that the general commercial service district allows for more intensive uses than the shopping and personal service. In contrast, the current square footage allowance for warehousing is more restrictive in the general commercial and service district and for the same use in the service and the shopping and personal service district. The proposed language would change this to make the square footage requirement the same in both zones for the same use. This went to the planning board on March 5th, 2024, and passed unanimously. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for passage.
Second?
So since this is an ordinance, so can we please have a roll call vote?
Counselor Dean?
Yes.
Counselor Fournier?
Yes.
Counselor Leonard?
Yes.
Counselor Schaefer?
Yes.
Counselor Yakabaga?
Yes.
5 yes, 0 no.
So we have a motion, we have a second, and any questions or comments? Seeing none, ordinance 24-90 has passage. And now we move to new business.
Public hearing, 24-101 order, expanding the downtown special assessment district. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order would expand the boundaries of the Downtown Special Assessment District in accordance with 30-8 MRS Section 5228. Properties within the boundaries are assessed an additional amount which is utilized to fund activities and events within the boundaries. The Municipal Development Program and Financial Plan for the Bangor Center Development District is prepared and implemented by the Downtown Bangor Partnership, following review and adoption by the City Council. A public workshop was held on February 26, 2024. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to open the, yes, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Uh,
That's not what I thought you were going to say, go ahead.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Public hearing is open.
Seeing no one approach, I would move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Public hearing is closed.
I would move to make a motion to pass 24-101.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. So order 24-101 has passage.
24-102 order, authorizing execution of a contract with Eurovia Atlantic Coast LLC, doing business as Northeast Paving, in the amount of $45,526,149 for the runway rehabilitation project. Councilor Fortier.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This order will authorize the contract with Eurovia Atlantic Coast LLC, doing business as Northeast Paving, in the amount of $45,526,149 for the runway rehabilitation project. The Bangor International Airport sole runway is in need of rehabilitation in order to ensure the continued safe use for airport operations. Staff is recommending to award the contract to Northeast Paving in the amount of $45,526,149. Northeast Paving was the sole bidder for this project. This will be a 2-year construction project scheduled to commence with contractor mobilization and site prep work in April of this year and in April of 2025. Construction will continue until October of each year, with the final completion in October of 2025. Preparation of this project began over a year ago with extensive coordination and communications with the FAA, Maine DOT, and the Maine Air National Guard, as well as key stakeholders, including air carriers, airport tenants, and concessionaires. This construction contract will be funded using a combination of funds to include $26,632,797 in federal funds, $15,934,152 Maine Air National Guard funds, $1,479,600 state DOT funds, and $1,479,600 coming from the city of Bangor. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for passage of this order.
Second.
Yeah, you have a comment?
Sure.
Sure.
Thank you. Michael Norton, 83 Elm Street, right up the hill. I walk up the hill and then down here for these meetings every day. And there's people who lived on that street and in the tree district for longer than I, and have passed.
What does this have to do with the
They don't
airport?
have, we don't even have paved driveways in that district, and that's what it has to do with it. Is Eurovia a prime contractor of the US government? Is it the name of the company you mentioned with the
Northeast
$45
Paving?
million price tag for not Cape Canaveral, but the airport here? Is that the name of it? I'm asking, what is the name
It
of
is
it?
the name, it is the name. That's the name,
Eurovia?
Eurovia Atlantic Coast.
Eurovia, Atlantic Coast, are they a prime
Northeast
contractor for the US government or the US Department of Defense?
I have no idea about if it is contracted.
Thank you.
Devin?
Okay, so I'd just say no,
No, they are not.
but I'd say no to the passage of that.
So we had a motion, we had a second. No more comments or doubt?
I'll just say
Yes?
one comment really quick.
Yes, please.
This is a massive, massive project that absolutely needs to pass. A huge amount of our economy is focused around the airport. The Air National Guard uses the airport, multiple different commercial airlines use the airport, multiple different passenger services use the airport. This has to get funded. I want to make that very clear to the people in this room and the people at home. So I'll be voting in favor of this because it has to pass.
So we had a motion, we had second. Ordinance, also we need a roll call.
No.
No?
It's in order.
Okay, it's in order, yeah, I'm on the wrong page. So, order 24-102 has passage. I think we come to the end of our meeting tonight. Any comments from staff? Yeah? Ready to go home?
Actually, I'd just say,
Yes.
Rovia is Northeast Paving.
So it is the same, right?
They do the MDOT projects all the time, they do City of Bangor paving, so.
We had contracts with them before, it's not the first time, yeah. Thank you. Someone had a comment from staff. Awesome.
Never again.
This is the first time in the last couple years and a half I have been on the council.
And you.
Councillor Dean,
Oh, yes.
councillors, time for final comments.
I just wanted to add one thing to the airport. I believe tonight we learned that the bid was actually 20 million less than it was a couple of years ago. So despite the high price tag, it's actually in our best interest to jump on something when it's $20 million lower than it was a couple of years ago. And since we do need this project, I think it's a great thing to pass. Money is a hard thing to part with, I understand that, but sometimes we have to do that. So I just wanted to make mention of that and say goodnight to Bangor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Schaefer.
This is, Hudson just had their spring break, and UMaine is on spring break this week, and so I hope everybody is enjoying a little bit of break. The next one, and then, of course, schools go next week, but spring forward, I hope everybody enjoys the extra hour you're going to get tonight by us being out of here by 8 o'clock.
Okay, Councillor Leonard.
Good night.
Councillor Fournier.
Good night.
Myself, have a good night.